to Horses, Hope, and Hustle, the podcast where faith leads, grit drives, and the Western way of life runs deep. I'm your host, Crystal Show, wife, horsewoman, entrepreneur, and believer that God doesn't waste the hard stuff. Around here, we talk real stories, big dreams, and the kind of hustle that's rooted in hope. So pull your hat down, pour that coffee, and let's ride. This episode shares the story behind No Booze branding. After Kara lost her brother to suicide, a struggle deeply connected to alcohol, she chose to turn grief into action. This movement invites a day of sobriety and wearing purple on branding day, a small act to honor those we've lost, reach out, ask for help, and remind others they're not alone. This is a story about love, awareness, and choosing hope. Let's begin. Well, welcome to the Horses, Hope, and Hustle podcast. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, so my name is Kara Uhrig. I live in South Dakota right now. I was raised in Hewlett, Wyoming. And I am currently a wellness coach, but I'm also the founder of No Booze Branding.
I love that. Do you want to tell us more about the No Booze branding movement and how that came about?
Yeah, so I started No Booze Branding about a year ago. The reason I started it is because I lost my brother to suicide in 2022, and that was around the time of branding season. And I decided that if you have experienced any kind of a hardship, it's in your best interest to turn it into something as positive as possible. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking how I could do that. And sometimes it's hard to think of how you can turn something so terrible into something good. But I had thought, well, he struggled with alcohol more and more as time went on. And a lot of people do. I also know, like, around COVID time, there was a lot of suicides. And I decided to sit down and write down how many people I personally knew that I had lost to suicide. And my list was like over 30 people that I personally knew. And that was way too many. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't sit back and watch that happen anymore. I knew I had to do something. So I decided to start No Booze Branding. The idea kind of came to mind just last year around this time of year. I just decided that since my brother struggled mostly around branding season, and for a few different reasons, but I think because we lost our dad in 2019, and then my brother took over the ranch, and then branding season's a time of year that you're celebrating. It's a family thing. And then if your dad, who has ran that your whole life and now he's gone, it can be a really difficult time when you step up to take over. And also branding season seems to be a time where you're given a reason or excuse to drink alcohol. And it's not uncommon and it's not frowned upon, at least where I grew up. So you technically could wake up every morning and start drinking and do so. If there's a branding nearly every day, I mean, that's days on end of drinking and it can get really heavy. And I think No Booze Branding, I was hoping was going to be a reason to not drink. So if you're going to a branding where the family has lost somebody, it's respectful to honor that person by not drinking. So now, the pressure's not to drink, the pressure's maybe more to not drink. Mm-hmm. And giving a person just a day to not drink, a day of a clear head and to just take a breather and step back a minute. So before I started my career now, I worked at probation and parole, and I worked with a lot of people with alcoholism and addiction and mental health. And you can tell somebody not to drink, but obviously there's way more to it. So it's not going from somebody who's heavily drinking to just not drinking. So that's why I decided on just one day, because hopefully most people can commit to one day of not drinking, and some people can't. But if you are able to, if you have the ability to go one day without drinking, then it's behoove you to do so, so that you can support the people that are struggling. And everybody knows somebody who's struggling. So it can be basically twofold here. So with this, I decided to use the purple scarf as to something to symbolize sobriety, because the color purple is for sobriety, and then the scarf is something that it's subtle. Most people own a scarf. You can get a purple one pretty easily. Then by wearing one, not only does that represent that you've committed to that one day of sobriety, but you are also telling people that you are a person that is willing to have a conversation. And so when you wear the purple scarf, perhaps you are helping yourself by not drinking, or telling other people like, hey, now you don't have the pressure of people pressuring you to drink, because you're wearing the purple scarf that's telling people already that you've made the choice not to drink. So you're eliminating the pressure. And then also you're there to support other people who may be struggling. So now they know, without you having to tell them, they can just see, hey, this person is there if I need someone to talk to, or if I need anything, they're going to support me. And yeah, I can mean it's meant to sort of like start the conversation without having to have like the hard icebreaker of where do I even start, because this is just to like be a silent gesture for people to kind of start the next step, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think this movement is obviously incredible from the beginning, and kudos to you for taking something so hard. And like you said, because that, I can only imagine, was not an easy feat. But I do think it is also so cool just offering that subtle movement, or that subtle gesture of, hey, I have a purple wild rag on. Like, either I need help if somebody can, or I am open. Because like you said, you can't tell somebody to quit drinking. It kind of has to be their choice. But sometimes I do feel like in this cowboy culture, it is more normalized to be drinking. And so to be able to empower one another, even so subtly, not like trying to be overpowering, but being like, hey, I'm here if you need it. I think that is also incredible in itself as well.
Yeah. So, like you said, in cowboy culture, you don't talk about how you feel or anything you're going through. And many cowboys experience trauma, which they don't even recognize as trauma. And then another trauma event happens on top of that one without processing the first one. And when they stack up on top of each other like that, and you don't have time to process it, it's very, very damaging, and it can really affect your mental health. And, like for my brother, he had lost several friends. He'd actually come upon at least 2 deaths that I know of, the first one to come upon them, and and different things like that. And he never talked about it, and he never, it was never brought up again. And I know it was hard for him to see that sort of thing. And there's all kinds of things, right? It's not just one thing that causes you to cope with alcohol. There's many, many things. But as they stack up and you don't talk about it, it does create more issue. And so when you're raised in an environment where you not only are you not learning the skill of identifying emotions, so you don't even know for yourself what you're experiencing, it's even more difficult to explain to somebody else what you're going through, because you can't even put that label on for yourself. You don't even have that vocabulary, and you can't verbalize it. So that jump is huge. So what I was hoping for is now from going to somebody who bottles things up to this silent gesture of, okay, I don't have to even say anything. All I have to do is either put on this purple scarf, or I could give a purple scarf to a friend and I could tie it on their saddle horn, or I could leave it in their mailbox or their truck or something. Or, I mean, there's a million different ways that you could utilize this. And it's to just start the conversation, and it doesn't mean you have to know anything. You can just verbally, here comes everything. I don't even know what to say because I don't know how to label what I'm going through, but I'm not okay or whatever. So yeah, it's just the first start. And so even though it's just one day, hopefully it will lead to more. And I think the name No Booze Branding, a lot of people think I'm saying to absolutely not have booze at any branding ever. And ideally that would be great, right? But really it's just asking for one day, one person to pick one day during branding season to stay sober and to be there for people who are struggling, or to honor somebody who struggled and is now no longer with us. So.
Yeah. I think too, it's almost, that gesture is almost like building community too. Even if it's like, oh, hey, my really good friend that I didn't know because, we don't talk about it, they're on this movement too, or they're struggling too. And finding people who are in the same boat as you to move forward together, I think is extremely empowering as well.
Yeah, it lets people know they're not alone,
Yes.
And I think if one person, let's say you're going to go to a branding and you know somebody there is going to be there who is struggling, and you could maybe hand out purple scarves, or you could ask somebody else, hey, will you wear one with me? And hey, now all these people are showing up to this branding, and they're all wearing a purple scarf, or they're all at least committing to not drinking that day. How supportive is that, and how respectful is that? And you're honoring them, and you're showing them without even having to talk about it. You're just doing the thing to help them that nothing else could help more. Like, that is the ultimate gesture that just says everything with no words.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly am just in awe. Like I told you before we started recording, I had stumbled across the No Booze Branding Facebook page. I feel like it was probably pretty close to when you started. And I was like, oh, this is so neat. And now listening to it more in depth, I'm like, holy cow, this could be a complete game changer in the cowboy industry that is so needed.
Yes.
Just opening, like you said, just letting people know they're not alone and opening the door to conversation. You're not trying to, force a hard change, but just open up possibilities, I think is incredible.
Yeah. And like you said, to kind of change the trajectory here, because over time, I think, we have the cowboy code of ethics and all these values. And if you look at where we're at now, we're kind of off course. Because I've heard people say, if I didn't serve alcohol at my branding, nobody would show up. And if you really think about what that message means, you're not willing to help a neighbor because they're not willing to support a drinking habit, maybe, or something along those lines. And what kind of values is that? Those words alone don't align with any of the cowboy code of ethics or values. So you have to take a step back, and if you felt like those words were true at some point, maybe it's a good opportunity to do some self-reflection.
Yeah, that is very true. That's I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is heavy stuff here.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So what has been kind of the feedback on your end? You're about a year into it. What have you experienced from starting this movement so far?
Yeah, it's been wildly amazing. Like, I was actually a little scared to get started because I thought, ooh, I'm walking into a real tough crowd,
You're about to punch the hornet's nest with this.
It took some guts, walking into a culture that it's so normalized to drink and nobody wants to talk about anything. And I didn't know how it was going to come across or how it was going to be received. And I thought, I have to do it though. There was, I think, a message that maybe came from the other side to me that said, you just got to do it. And I didn't think a lot about it. I just did it. And man, my first post, I think it got shared like almost over 600 times or something like wild like that. And I thought, man, that really speaks volumes there. And word got out and it just got shared a bunch and people were talking about it. And I thought, okay, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And the Tri-State Livestock News did an article on it, and it just kind of became more and more present. And so then the Crook County in Wyoming, Crook County Be Well Coalition, they reached out to me. So they have some funding available to help with campaigns like this or movements like this, nonprofits. And so we are partnering up right now to do like some radio advertisements and some commercial advertisements. And then, there's some things in the works in the future that we're still working on, but that are kind of geared towards maybe a rancher not having alcohol at their branding. And so if you think about it, okay, so let's say you usually do buy alcohol at the branding. I don't really know how much people spend on doing that, but I know it can get super expensive.
Yeah.
So let's just say, I'm just going to say $500. That could be under for a lot of ranchers. That could be a lot over, whatever. But say you spend $500 on booze at branding time. Now, if you use that money to donate to No Booze Branding, then let's say you have, I don't know, even if you had 100 people and then every person in your community is doing that, and even for a small community, if everybody did do that, you could easily raise $50,000 in that community. Now get this, that is how much it costs to send a person to rehab, is around $50,000. So that's why a lot of people don't probably go. And there's probably funding for that and stuff as well. But my intention when I started was, because I know a lot of, so let's say my brother, if he'd wanted to go to rehab, first he'd have to leave the ranch and there's nobody to really take over. And that was really a barrier for him. Who's going to take over, especially at branding season? Yeah. Who's going to run the ranch? I mean, there's just so much, and it was all on him. So you can't even fathom that, to go to rehab. And then the cost on top of that, if it's around $50,000, it's just a huge undertaking. So in my mind, I was thinking if a rancher did donate $500 for their branding instead of buying alcohol, and then that community, if everybody did that, you could support one person in their community going to rehab. So ideally, that's kind of where my mind was going. But I think I don't know what the holdup is with the, donating $5 a person, but this has only been going on for one branding season. And when I did start it, it was just getting started. So I think this year we could see more, and eventually, hopefully we will build it up to something like that. That would be awesome. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely doable. I think it's going to just snowball into something so big.
Yeah, and I thought that's just one community, and this is spread over multiple states, and it's big, and people have heard about it everywhere. And if every community in multiple states did this, and it's not just about the money part, obviously. This is just about raising awareness and starting a conversation and committing to one day. But then there's also the potential to send people to rehab or do different things financially as well.
Yeah. Like you said, even just one day, that in itself could start a huge movement, and just in each individual person be like, oh, hey, I made it through this whole branding. I remembered the whole day. I roped better. I didn't say anything I regret. I didn't wake up feeling like crap the next day. Like, maybe I'll go to the next one and stay sober too.
Exactly. That's the hope, is that one day will lead to another day. But
Mhm.
also, you know, sending the message to the children that are at the brandings, because
Mhm.
there's usually a lot of kids there. And what message are we sending them when we drink alcohol the whole time? It's not safe. There might be accidents that happen. There could be major accidents that happen, even after the branding, whatever. But
Mhm.
honestly, it's also taking a look at what message we're sending the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think of the next generation, because this movement could be way more than just today's movement. It could be breaking generational chains along the way.
And that is the hope. That
Mhm.
that is really what ultimately I want to have happen.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not judging anyone for drinking.
Mhm.
It's just changing the trajectory and just getting people to, um, the people that are truly struggling just need that support. And
Mhm.
it's just, yeah, trying to help, more so. But
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's extremely powerful. And it, in our, like, again, in the cowboy culture, it is just so normalized. I think it's very overlooked a lot. Like, oh yeah, so and so fell off their horse because they were that drunk, and like, haha, funny. And then like carry on. Not like, are they okay beyond, behind the bottle? Are they okay? Like, what's
right.
going on at a deeper level?
Exactly. Yeah, because you can see they look like they're having a great time, nothing's wrong, and everybody's friends with them, and everything looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a good time. They're the life of the party, and everything looks fine. Um, but maybe what they really needed was a breather and a day without that. And to do that on your own is extremely difficult. You feel obligated to go to these brandings, and that's great because you're helping your neighbors, and that's what it's all about. But if you go there knowing that everybody's going to be drinking and you're just expected to drink with them, it's really hard to stop or take a breath. But if
Mm-hmm.
people were doing this and giving you a reason to not drink, and they're supporting that, and there's several people doing that, I mean, it's so much easier.
Absolutely.
And
One,
it
if you,
doesn't,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
you go ahead.
If you show up and everybody's used to you being the life of the party, everybody's gonna be like, oh, like, why aren't you drinking? And that's a lot of pressure in itself too, because it's like, I'm dealing with all of this other stuff that makes me drink, and then when you guys are pressuring, it's sometimes just easier to fall back into, okay, fine, like, I'll have a drink, and then 10, and it
Right.
snowballs.
And you don't have to be saying, like, yes, I'm not drinking because I'm struggling. You could, maybe you just say, I'm not drinking because I'm honoring this person. And so even if you are struggling, you can use it as saying, well, I'm supporting this person who we lost last year, or I know a person that's struggling. I want to be there for them. It doesn't put the spotlight on you so much. I mean, you could put it however you want to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of gives you, I don't want to say an out and like any kind of negative, but it does take a lot of the pressure off of you in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm supporting this movement or this person or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, okay. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, like
And
people
then,
accept that. Oh, well, if
yeah.
that's why you're doing it, then let's all do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's fantastic. If they're going to support it, then awesome,
Whatever
for whatever
works.
reason they choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to falling into that. When I was kind of going through some hard times in my life, I leaned on alcohol a lot, and everybody around me knew me as the fun person, and they loved who I was when I was drinking. And when I stopped drinking, actually, it's been a little over a year. We'll have it. I'm not completely sober. We will have a drink at dinner, but I can have one and be done now. I don't have to go to binger, but it is incredible to me, the people that have made comments like, you're so much funner when you are drinking. And I was like, you also were not the kind of person that was supporting my goals outside of drinking or wondering why I was drinking constantly, And so the shift in that was very big, very not what I expected, I guess, to go through. And so I can understand that pressure of falling back into, oh, well, it's okay, fine. Like, I'll just, if that's the people you're around and the people, how people expect you to act when you're in those situations, it's easy to fall back into that. So
Right.
having something to pull you forward and something for the people around you to be like, oh, okay, that's cool, you're supporting that. Like, we'll support that too then.
Yeah.
Is very empowering.
And it's crazy how many people would not drink if they knew. Like, everybody is in a position, like I talk to people individually and they're all like, well, I really do want to quit drinking, but everybody else, blah, blah, blah. But everybody's thinking that.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, this just really gives people a reason, and they don't have to say anything. It doesn't have to be, this big anything. It's just a subtle gesture. And there's not a lot of pressure with it. It's just the easiest thing I could think of that could ultimately change things, to let people make the decision that's best for them without judgment or anything like that. So,
yeah, I think it's incredible. So what are some goals that you have with the mission this your second year?
Well, some of it I don't want to talk about yet.
Oh, okay. Follow for the announcement. Follow No Booze Branding.
I think just spreading the word more and more, getting more people to get on board with it. Awareness is huge. The more people that know about it, the more people it can help. And so if people keep sharing posts, if people, so ways you can help are, you can donate to, you can send it to Venmo or PayPal, or you can purchase a purple scarf, Wild Rag. I have a gal from Ray's Rags out of Midwest Wyoming, and she makes the emblem, the No Booze Branding emblem, on a wild rag, and she sells those, and the links on the Facebook page. And those proceeds go to No Booze Branding and helping people that are struggling with alcoholism or suicide. My sister has made these keychains, and they are made out of boot tops. And so you can either provide her with boot tops, or she can just make generic ones. But she made me one that has, one side is, so they're heart-shaped, and one side is a boot top that belonged to my brother, and one's the boot top that belonged to my dad. And she sewed them together and put the purple scarf on there, and it's a keychain, and she sells those.
Oh, cool.
Super cool. They're very meaningful, very sentimental. And so people can do that. All that information is on the Facebook page. So yeah, there's those ways that they can help. But yeah, I think if you get, it doesn't even have to be the No Booze Branding purple scarf. It can be anyone, but maybe you give somebody one for Christmas or their birthday, or you just sneak one into, their mailbox, or tie one to their saddle horn or something when you really are thinking of them. And maybe it's just that, maybe that's the silent gesture. To let them know, hey, somebody really is caring about what I'm going through right now, or whatever it may be.
That's awesome. And even too, for like everybody that listens to this, simply going to your Facebook page, No Booze Branding, and following your page, sharing a post, liking a post, commenting on a post, that goes a long ways too. Even just getting that mission, that message out to people. If you can't financially donate, that in itself helps a lot too. That's just getting more people to your page and seeing your mission. So for everybody listening, that's huge also.
That is very huge. I really appreciate that. And that's probably one of the biggest helpful things you can do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does your family still have the ranch in Hewlett then?
Yeah, my mom still lives out there.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
they sold the cattle because my dad and my brother are both gone. So.
Yeah. Do you guys ranch and stuff in South Dakota then?
No, we don't. My husband's in construction and I'm a wellness coach after I'd actually retired from the Department of Corrections, working at probation and parole. And so I've worked with a lot of people with mental health issues or addictions and alcoholism. And so I definitely can see the barriers and the obstacles that people face that prevents them from getting the help that they need.
Yeah.
So yeah, if this is one thing that'll help them get a little bit closer. And then, of course, like I said, financially, if we could ever support somebody to get real, true professional help that they really need, that would be ideal.
Yeah. Let's touch base on the wellness. What all do you offer with your wellness coaching?
Yeah. So we talk about mental health, stress, sleep, and then nutrition and workouts is kind of what a lot of my clients come to me for. So it's online. I do meet with some people in person, but it's mostly online. So just getting healthier, movement. So I do create workouts and I have an app and I'll give people some workouts and some nutritional guidance that helps them get to whatever goals they have and be a healthier person. But it is all tied together in wellness. So, you can go to the gym or work out all you want, but if you have some mental health issues, there's, your whole wellness isn't going to be at the optimal spot because there's a lot of things that tie together. So, we end up addressing a little bit of everything. So when people do come to me for like exercises and nutrition, we end up usually diving a little bit deeper into the mental health stuff and then the stress that leads to the lack of sleep that leads to this and that and the other thing. So,
yeah. Were you doing the wellness coaching? How long have you been doing that?
I started that as soon as I left the Department of Corrections. And so that's been about 3 years ago. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've always liked helping people, so.
Yeah. I think all of what you're doing really ties in really neatly and kind of, oh my gosh, I just lost the word. I do this all the time.
I do that too.
Oh my gosh, yep. It all works really good together. I had a better word for that. But
yeah, it all intertwined. It's all related.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, one thing leads to another. You think, where am I going to be in 10 years? What's that going to look like? And I think I've just found things that really mesh well with what I'm passionate about and what I love doing so that it doesn't feel like work. It just feels really good and it feels like stuff I love to do. And it's just, I've been really blessed in that way.
Yeah. And like you kind of mentioned, a push from the other side or however you had mentioned it. I feel like when you're called to do something, it's for a reason and, the path will be made if you are following that calling.
Yeah, I think if you're open to listening to signs, it can really be powerful. And I was concerned, I think at the beginning, is this something my brother would want me to do? And I asked him for a sign and I got several signs in return. So I know for a fact this is what he would want for a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful too. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. No doubt in my mind that this is what he wanted. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's absolutely incredible. I'm glad that you decided to push forward because I can imagine it was scary, like we talked about. And yeah,
it was, but I like I said, I didn't think much about it. I just knew it was something I was called to do, so I did it. And and it's turned out.
Sometimes when you get those callings, you just got to jump head first and then figure out how to swim.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and people have just been so stinking supportive, and even with these radio advertisements that we're going to be doing, uh, every single person that I've asked to help with those has said yes so far. And at first I was thinking, man, I wonder if anybody will be willing to do it. And so far every single person has been. It's just been amazing for people to step up, and yeah, it's just made things really worth it, when you feel like you're making a difference, it just makes it so much easier to keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you're getting a lot of positive support, because I do think, I mean, back to it again, just giving someone the opportunity to take this initiative, whether they want to be very loudly open about it or just by simply wearing the purple. I mean,
yeah. And I think with anything, you're going to have people who maybe don't agree with what you're saying for some reason. And I think it's just, best to not focus on those things. You're going to have that in everything you do. There's going to be some people that aren't in agreement with it, and it's fine. But if you have a mission, it's best just to kind of ignore the noise and move forward with what you're meant to do. So
absolutely. And I feel like your why is so powerful. It's really going to quiet a lot of the negative. And
when people's lives are involved and we're losing people, there's not much else you can say but that we've got to be doing something to help that.
Yeah, absolutely. And alcohol is its own problem, but it is in our cowboy culture. Again, we need to shine some light there.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say be brave enough to take that one step or that small initiative, because I do think there's a lot more people in the same boat as you if you just take that step to be vulnerable enough to wear a purple scarf one day.
And my brother made an impact on a lot of lives when he was here. So I knew that doing this would impact people even now that he's gone. And I think if you're in a place that you can make an impact, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, some people aren't able to pick a day to be sober. So if you are able, then it's best for you to be the leader or be the person to do it, because some people just aren't able.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a place to make a change, then do it. So
yes, absolutely. I love that. Well, gosh, this was awesome. I'm super excited to see what this year holds for you, and the No Booze branding mission. I do think it's going to snowball into something incredible and very empowering in our community.
Yeah, many communities, and I think it's just going to keep growing. And so if people just keep sharing and spreading the word and keep it going, then it is gonna make even more impact as we go, more and more all the time. And hopefully we can save some lives. It'll open a conversation that somebody or otherwise wouldn't have had, or feel supported when they otherwise wouldn't have felt that support. So ultimately, hopefully that we do, save somebody's life or get them, recovered from alcohol and different things like that. So, and then ultimately to, I guess, heal generations to come, so we don't pass that on. We don't want to keep passing on bad coping skills. We want to teach kids how to identify what they're going through and how to talk about it, instead of just drowning it out with alcohol and doing things like that. The way that many people cope with things now aren't what we want to be passing on to our kids. So so learning new skills and things like that, and just passing that on to the future.
Do you guys offer like some help resources with the No Booze branding? If people were to reach out to you, to your Facebook page, do you have some resources to pass on to them?
So, and when you say you guys, it's really just me. I'm the only one, and I'm also being funded some by the Crook County Be Well Coalition, and they have a lot of good resources as well. So I just kind of funnel things that way. So the Crook County Be Well Coalition, they have a website, and they've included, they kind of created a website for me on their website. So I can share that with you as well. But yeah, I think when I had the idea to do this and I wanted to get started right away with a nonprofit organization, you need to have like a board of directors and an attorney and an accountant, and it's a huge long process with the taxes and everything else. And I wanted to hit that branding season before it was too late. And other people have been reaching out and asking how they can help. So I think that's how I've expanded a lot too, is people just offer different things. Like you've just reached out to me about a podcast, and that's going to help so much spread the word. And I think, when people come together and we all network, it can just make great things happen. And we're seeing a lot of that. And I am so thankful for that.
Yes. Well, that's awesome. So even if somebody's listening, just needs some advice or a place to go,
they can go to the Crook County Be Well Coalition. They can go to their local place, resources as well, which I think, we on the websites for the Be Well Coalition, they have all of those resources out there. And even if you are in a different location, you could reach out to them and they can guide you to where you need to go and get you in touch with somebody that's more local for you, whoever you are,
Yeah. So even if anybody listening wants to get help and would rather kind of dive into it themselves first, there's all of that info where we can help get you somewhere. Well, thank you again for taking the time, and I'm super excited to see your mission grow, and anything that we can do to help, we'd love to.
I really appreciate you having me, and this has been really helpful and really, really good, and I just really appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for riding along with me on Horses, Hope, and Hustle. If you found even a little bit of inspiration or grit here today, share it with a friend, leave a review, or tag us on socials, and keep showing up for what truly matters. Until next time, stay true, stay tough, and keep hustling.